Hey guys, Jonathan Adam here with CAC. Excited to talk about adoption as always. We're getting into spring, and so the theme of this season is kind of growth around our thinking or think growth. It's always good to be able to reframe the way we think or reset. My intention in this is not to make you feel like you have to walk on eggshells around anybody in the adoption triad, but as with all of us, we're all learning the best way to communicate, the best way to build relationships, the best way to grow together in this process of adoption, which can be very emotional, right, and very sensitive. So my intention is to kind of help place those signposts or those guideposts so that we know how to stay in bounds. So I'm going to talk from an adoptee perspective of some things that may be prickly for some adoptees. The first thing is, I don't speak for all adoptees. I speak from an adoptee perspective as an adoptee. But, just like people are different, adoptees are different and our experiences are different. It's always helpful to be able to kind of draw those lines and correlations together. But it's always good to remember that each of us is different and we experience these different pain points in different ways. Another thing I know I've experienced before, and it's come up before in conversation with other adoptees, is things that people intend well. They don't intend to cause any harm by it, but it actually becomes unhelpful. I'll give you an example. Somebody, a friend of mine might come across and say, are your real parents in your life? Or are your, real parents involved at all? And I know their intention is to ask about my biological folks, but the way it comes off is that somehow parenting is born out of some genetic trait, right? But actually, parenting as we know, is an active process, right? There's no gene that tells you to change a diaper, but a parent, out of love and patience and just intentionality, and parenting in general is all about intentionality. Those are all qualities, qualifying things of parenting, discipline. Somebody raised me, somebody, paid for my schooling and taught me how to brush my teeth and what to do in the bathroom. So it's always safer to say, are you close to your biological parents, or do you know your biological parents? And that gives them dignity as well as my adopted parents, right? Or adopted parents. Another thing is, and this is especially true with a transracial adoptee, we look different than our adopted families, right? But even if it's obvious, don't ask if we're adopted, right? That's kind of like me maybe asking you, how much do you make a year in income, right? Or how much did you pay for your car? Those are some statements that, maybe up to our own discretion of what we want to share, but don't take that away. And obviously I'm not saying that this is something you'd intentionally do, but don't take that opportunity away for an adoptee to be able to share their story and own it and be able to share that in a context of their choosing. It's also kind of best practice to not assume that just because somebody's adopted, that they have issues with being adopted. There is a lot of hurt and a lot of pain among adoptees, but there's a lot of hurt and pain out there in the world in general. So I think it's safe to say that we all have issues that we need to deal with. And in terms of adoption, there are certain dynamics and challenges that us as adoptees face that might be a little more intense than other people. But the way that we navigate and handle that could be different among different adoptees. So it's always safe to assume, just as with everything, that we all have issues. And, as with an adoptee's experience, let the adoptee kind of direct and guide us in that. Even if you're able to draw out those types of conversations, which is good. It's good to have those conversations, just being mindful to not assume that there are issues with being adopted. Really the last thing is, and I know this comes up a lot. I remember in high school, I shared with the class that I was adopted. I forgot what the discussion was about. It was in biology class. But somebody out of goodwill responded, "I'm so sorry." And I thought in my head, like, sorry? Sorry for what? And she felt sympathy because she assumed that I had some kind of tough experience because I was adopted. And while that might be true for some, it was unhelpful. And my message was, to be frank, I don't need your sympathy. Sympathy is great when it's in the right context, right? But I do need your curiosity. Curiosity is great, but sympathy, you can hold that for a minute. But anyway, these are just some tips and tricks. I guess if I was to leave you with one other, we all get frustrated and we all get have interpersonal tensions in our relationships. But being adopted is not something that should come at somebody's expense. You should feel grateful for being adopted. I know I've heard that before. And again, the big problem with that is just assuming that somehow because a adoptee raises an issue about something related to adoption, that they're somehow ungrateful to be in their environment or to be adopted. And that type of, that kind of insensitivity towards somebody's story can really be hurtful to them. So, adoption, like I said, it's not something that we need to walk on eggshells about, but it's just a reminder that we need to continue to learn, right? All of us need to continue to dig in and learn. Not so that adoptees can just grow thicker skin and pick themselves up by the bootstraps, but so that we can all grow closer and more intimate together, right? Because it is an emotional experience. And it's something that, as an adoptee, as my part of the triad, something that I do experience on a daily basis. And it's special. It's a special part of my life, and I love to share it. So I hope you got something from this. Again, the intention isn't so that you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, but it's to help build trust, build intimacy, and build knowledge as we walk in that together. So God bless you. And again, the theme of the month is think growth, right? Growth thinking. So God bless you. Take care.